Heya Cryptozens. Tonight's show, Weekend Roundup. These are all brand new stories that I didn't get to earlier in the week. We've got stories on the CFTC and Ripple, China, Coinbase, Coinflex, and Zilliqa. It's 10 p.m. Pacific. The date is September 24th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nicodemus, and I'll be your host. The cover model, mascot, and co-host for this podcast is Tex, and together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. Now, if you have questions or if you have comments about the show, please come find us on Twitter or email us at nick@cryptoovernighter.com. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. Monday. So the timing on this one is fun. We're talking about the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, and Ripple. So the CFTC is engaged in some kind of intra-agency strife with the Securities Exchange Commission. There's a question over who's going to have regulatory authority over crypto and their related industries. Right now, there are a number of pieces of legislation that look to take some, if not most, of the authority over crypto that the SEC has claimed for itself and hand that over to the CFTC. And then there's Ripple Labs. Right now, they're embroiled in a lawsuit with the SEC. The result of this suit will have lasting impact on the crypto regulation landscape. It will also likely decide whether the CFTC or the SEC has authority over Ripple's XRP token. And keep in mind, the SEC and Ripple Labs have both requested that the judge in their case render summary judgment. They feel like the case has been made and the judge has enough information to make a decision, that the documentation that they provided says it all and they can avoid a long trial, which is kind of a funny thought given that they've spent almost 2 years getting to that point and the case still hasn't seen the inside of a courtroom. So this makes for a very interesting backdrop, because Caroline Pham is one of 5 commissioners at the CFTC, and she met with Brad Garlinghouse. Now, Brad is the CEO of Ripple Labs. So they met ahead of the court's decision about whether to render a summary judgment or not. In a tweet Monday, Pham said that she was at Ripple Labs as part of a, quote, learning tour. Garlinghouse also tweeted saying that Pham's visit was public-private engagement. So, like I said, the timing on this is really interesting, given that Pham and the CFTC might well end up regulating Ripple's token, because the outcome of this case will likely decide whether the CFTC or the SEC regulates crypto overall. And this long case has drawn out some bad feelings. Just Saturday, Garlinghouse said that the SEC wasn't interested in applying the law, that the SEC was trying to, quote, expand their jurisdiction far beyond the authority granted to them by Congress, which is becoming a common complaint, that of Chair Gensler and of the SEC, that he prefers to regulate through enforcement, a perception that has gotten Gensler in hot water with Congress in the past. Tuesday. China is expanding their central bank digital currency pilot experiment. So the People's Bank of China, or PBOC, announced that they were expanding ECNY. They were going to make the CDBC available in 4 provinces. These are Guangdong, Jiangsu, Hebei, and Sichuan. PBOC Deputy Governor Fin Yifei said that this expansion would happen, quote, at a proper time. That's according to a report from the South China Post on Tuesday. He was speaking at an event in Suzhou when he said that the bank would be rolling out their CDBC trials. Those 4 provinces alone have a combined population of more than 360 million people. By way of comparison, there are less than 330 million people in the entire United States. Now, clearly, this is a huge leap in China's CDBC plans, because previously they limited the trials to like specific cities or specific merchants or a select region. These trials have been going on for some time. They launched back in April of 2020, and since that time, In January of this year, reportedly 261 million users have set up digital wallets. So far, CBDCs have settled $13 billion worth of transactions. Now, famously, China rolled out their digital currency and then gave it to foreign athletes during the 2020 Beijing Winter Olympics. In August, they started letting people pay for public bus rides using digital currency. Now, so far, there is no indication when China is going to push out their CBDC countrywide. In the Bahamas, they were actually the first to officially launch a CBDC. And I think they might have rushed to get there so that someone didn't take the name. Because the CBDC for the Bahamas is called the Sand Dollar. Meanwhile, in Nigeria and China, they're both well into their pilot programs. So far, the U.S. hasn't officially started a trial of anything. Right now, we're in study mode. The Treasury Department has said that they will not start working on the CBDC until specifically directed to by the President or Congress. In the meantime, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority said that they're planning on trials for their central bank digital currency in Q4 2022. Now, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, they're not officially the central bank for Hong Kong. They just kind of act as if they were. The South China Morning Post reported that the HKMA plans to start working on the technical and legal foundation supporting the development of their own currency. They'll also be looking at use cases and design issues. Last April, they invited views on key considerations where CBDCs are involved. 75 responses came in from fintech firms, financial institutions, and tech companies. They said, quote, "Overall, the respondents are supportive of the EHKD initiative and believe that an EHKD has the potential to make payments more effective while supporting the digital economy. At the same time, the respondents also pointed out the need to further examine issues such as privacy protection, legal considerations, and use cases." Now, Hong Kong has its own financial and judicial systems. They're not under the rule of Chinese mainland. That's under their one country, two systems policy. Wednesday. We had a couple of news stories involving Coinbase on Wednesday because during a bear market, they're handing out some freebies. If you've been interested in getting your own Ethereum name service name, here's your chance. You know the ones I mean. They're the ones that are like mine. Mine is Nicodemus.eth. I had to pay some Ethereum to register it, and I will have to keep paying to re-register it every year or so. However, if you don't want to pay for one, or if somebody else got the one that you wanted, here's your chance. Because Coinbase has worked it out with the ENS people to give each of their customers a username to replace the crypto wallet address that comes from Coinbase. And so they put out an announcement. In this announcement, they said that they'd be giving away free name.cb.id usernames. So they can use these simplified usernames instead of the 42-character alphanumeric address. But that's not all. Back in 2021, Coinbase said they would become the Amazon Web Services of crypto. It sounds like it's on its way with Coinbase Cloud. Coinbase Cloud is a blockchain infrastructure platform, and they officially rolled out their Web3 developer platform. Doing so means that users can build new decentralized apps free of charge. And so this new platform is called Node, and it lets users create and monitor Web3 apps while providing access to the Ethereum blockchain and indexers. And so Node does have a tiered subscription plan, but the free plan does include access to advanced APIs. These are the same APIs everybody would be using to create decentralized and NFT apps. Their claim is that Node enables faster Web3 application creation. This matches up pretty well with the platform's broader offering, to include access to payments, identity, trading, and data infrastructure, all in one spot. Coinbase has had some bad press of late. At the beginning of the bear market, I was critical too, because they rescinded some job offers that they'd made to applicants. In some cases, people had made plans to move their entire country based on those job offers. And then there was that guy who used to work for Coinbase that got picked up for insider trading. But now, Coinbase is doing some good, solid work at improving their reputation somewhat. They're backing a lawsuit against the Treasury Department over Tornado Cash. And now, with these free offerings, that can't do anything but help them out, right? Thursday. Coinflex is in the news again. The exchange announced a new structuring proposal. This proposal comes in response to user feedback after the platform had some liquidity issues. So it was in a blog post put up on Wednesday that Coinflex kind of outlined their proposal. This proposal, by the way, still has to survive a vote, and then it would have to be approved by the court. But if it's adopted, that means that Coinflex's creditors would own 65% of the company. Team members would receive just 15% of the shares as part of an employee share program. Under this proposal, Series B investors would remain shareholders after the restructuring, and they would also be compensated with future equity. Coinflex CEO Mark Lamb said, quote, "As with any reorganization, unfortunately, most shareholders get wiped out. This situation is no different, with all existing ordinary and Series A shareholders of the company losing their equity stakes, including us." Now, we've talked about Coinflex before. Some time ago, they were talking about a recovery plan because previously they held the Flex coin. Well, in this case, creditors would get a token called RVUSD, or Recovery Value USD, and they would also get USDC and equity. Coinflex is planning on holding a community vote on the proposal on September 25th. If 75% of the creditors vote yay, then it passes. And at that point, the company passes the proposal and the vote count goes to the Seychelles courts for approval. Lamb said, quote, "If everything is in order, we expect this process to take up to 6 weeks. However, this is just an estimate. We fully recognize that this has been a traumatic experience for all our depositors and stakeholders. We hope that with a successful reorganization, we will return to the path of growing and becoming a successful exchange. It will not be overnight, nor easy, but with the support of our new army of shareholders, you guys, we have every chance of achieving that goal." So this mess started last June. At that point, Coinflex halted withdrawals. Later, they claimed that, quote, "large individual customer had defaulted on tens of millions of dollars of debt to Coinflex. This default caused liquidity issues." Lamb later called out Roger Ver, sometimes known as Bitcoin Jesus. Lamb said that Ver was the cause of those liquidity issues. Now, Ver, of course, denies this. Instead, he lashed out at Coinflex. He insists that Coinflex owes him $84 million, he says. That is being arbitrated in a Hong Kong court. Friday. Zilliqa is a layer 1 blockchain protocol, and apparently they're working on a console that would combine mining crypto with playing Web3 games. Zilliqa said that their video game console would be able to compete with the likes of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, but they feel like they've got an edge that will make them somewhat unique. According to a statement issued, this new console is designed for both gamers and crypto enthusiasts. It will have its own game hub, a Web3 wallet, and some crypto mining utilities. Keep in mind, they must feel like this could happen soon. Next month, they're due to start testing their gaming hub. So far, we don't know much about their hardware specs. We do have some pictures. Looking at one picture, I see that it's got a HDMI, Ethernet, headphone jack, lots of USB and USB-C, USB 3 ports. And so I think they think that it's going to be competitive with the big boys. Valentin Kobalea is the head of gaming technology at Zilliqa. And they said that the company got a huge response from the community when they announced their first game at Gamescom. And so what the developers here are counting on is both the gaming capabilities of the console, but also the mining utilities. Quote, Zilliqa's hardware console and gaming hub will allow non-crypto natives to earn money while playing fun games without the complexity of managing the crypto they earn. And so they said that the hub and the game console both should be launched early next year, and that they need to expand their catalog first. They said, quote, with the backing of Zilliqa's large crypto community and the easy-to-use infrastructure, we have no doubt that we can become the Steam equivalent for Web3 games. Which right now, Web3 gaming looks kind of bleak. That said, blockchain gaming did go up more than 2,000% last year. The difference is players of Web2 games are very different from Web3 gamers. Web2 gamers, they just want to have fun. Web3 gamers are more demanding. We want to have fun, and we want to earn money at the same time, and we don't want to compromise on either. That said, according to the company, blockchain gaming is still in its infancy. Right now, they depend on monetary incentives, but that could change. It's easy to see why companies might be interested, though. Think about how popular Axie Infinity was. Entire families in countries like the Philippines abandoned their jobs and played this game full time. That said, I don't know anyone playing Axie for fun. Everyone that I knew that was playing the game, none of them do anymore, and they were playing to make money. Yeah, they said it was fun, but really they were looking to make money. And then when the players left the game, the workers, the ones who were doing it to feed their families, they realized they didn't have anyone left to sell anything to except other workers. So they need to fix that model so that the money is going to be secondary to fun. Until that happens, I just don't see a game of this type really making it. And that's going to do it for our weekend roundup. I hope your weekend was an awesome one. And I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. Take care of yourselves, but take care of each other too. We'll see you tomorrow night.